Okay, Christina, it's going to be your fifth Olympics,
Yes.
Paralympics. Talk about longevity in the sport. Talk about the goals. Obviously, they're coming short in London on with a fourth. You know that. So you've run the gamut. You've probably seen it all.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I actually was not in London for basketball.
Oh, you weren't?
I was in London for track. But I have seen the gamut.
Okay.
My first Paralympics was Sydney in 2000, and that was for basketball. So we went in favored to win the gold, and we came home with 5th place. So that was disappointing, but it also was a motivator. I think for everybody on that team, and especially for me, I knew that we had more in us, and that's why I've came back in 2004, and then in 2008 after we won the gold in 2004, thinking, well, we can do it again. The core of us are coming back, and then I took a break after 2010. I won my world championship gold medal, and I thought, I'm finished. I've done everything that I can. I've done all my goals. So I never wanted to have a what if, so I did track because I was a dual sport athlete in college. And so I decided I would focus on track and try to make the Paralympic team in track. And I did that. I actually didn't make it to any finals in track. Found out I was pregnant right before the London Games. So I was in my first trimester, and then had my son in March after the 2012 Games. And then still wasn't sure. And kind of my husband and my family were like, well, why don't you give basketball another try? You love the game. And then after talking to the coaches coming back, it was a great choice. I have a completely different role than I ever played on another team. Kind of always been kind of a leader, like a court leader, but now I have to be off the court leader, have to be that like real veteran player that has been there, has seen everything, knows what to look for when maybe things aren't going as well as they should, that kind of thing. So it's a new role for me, but I think that I'm embracing it, and it's making me a better person.
Talk about the chemistry of the team, and then being or taking that lead role, maybe a little bit more off the court than on the court, like you were saying. Change of hats, but the dynamic still is super important, obviously at the elite level, that especially with some young, you got certain influx of some younger athletes right now.
Yeah. I've been back since 2015, so the growth that I've seen with this team in terms of team chemistry on and off the court has been exponential. I feel like the trust has grown, and it's like we're peaking at the right time right now. That's what I think. I watched them all in 2014 because I was part of the selection committee that year, and so I felt like I was a little bit vested in the team, and just, I'm always proud of Team USA. So watched all those games, and just from watching, it was a lot of the same core girls that are here now, but just to see them kind of blossom and become a team and work together, and like there's trust across 12 players, not just a few. They kind of had a core that there was like a lot of trust, but now it's across the board. And it's, like you said, it's off the court too. We're all friends off the court. Everyone's looking out for each other on this team, and you need that to be a successful team.
Talk about the difference, athletics and basketball. It's got to vary, but you said you were a two-sport athlete, so
Yeah.
Not unnatural, that crossover, but tell us what it's like to just make it to the elite level in two sports, and the difference of the two.
I think for me, I found out through my London experience that I was a team player. I enjoy working with other people, and I felt like, as an individual sport athlete, if I had one of my USA teammates in a run with me, I was always looking to maybe work with that person. Whereas a lot of time individual sport athletes, they don't do that, and I had this mindset of like, that's what we were gonna do, and then it didn't happen. So for me, that was hard. And coming out of it, I was like, well, I did that, and I'm more of a team sport person. I don't know if I'll play anymore, but I learned that about myself. I learned it's hard to be an individual sport athlete. I mean, it's hard to be an elite athlete, period, across the board, but to be an individual sport athlete, all of it comes back on you, which it should, right? And it should when you don't have a good performance in a team too. But you do, if something's going wrong for you or you're having a bad day, you have people to build you up. in a team and a sport. And that's what this team does. And that's really unique about this team is like if somebody is having maybe a bad shooting day or something's going on off the court, we all try to build each other up and get us out of it and try to work together to fix problems.
Do you ever think you'd be in the sport this long? At this level?
No, it's funny you say that too because I was doing an interview in a room right here and my signature's on the wall. And it's from 1996, and I was an alternate on the team. I did not go to Atlanta, but I was an alternate. I was a 16-year-old. And my signature from 1996 is on the wall, and I was just kind of getting emotional about that because I remember being so young and fresh-faced and, just not knowing what I was doing, but knowing, and not knowing how big the Paralympics were. And now to be able to still represent my country 20 years later. I don't even feel like I should be in the sport that long. I mean, it's unique and it's special, and I feel like I appreciate it more.
How have you seen the evolution of the Paralympics and what seems to be a quantum leap in a good way in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years? Definitely from Beijing till now.
Oh, it's huge. I have talked about that with people. We're getting all this coverage now. Like NBC did an interview. We're doing this with you guys. I've never had a media session. We've never had media training, anything like that. But it's so important. It needed to be done earlier than it has. But I get goosebumps thinking about it. That I'm still kind of hanging around for the very beginning of it, just to see where it's going to go, because it's already exponentially bigger than, 2014 for the Sochi Games. That was big. In 2008, we got coverage, and that was big. In 2012, that was even bigger, and so now it's this is unheard of, and I'm thankful that I'm around for it and that I get to see it and I get to experience it, because at one point I never knew if I would. 2000. We didn't get all the garb that everybody gets, and now it's we're on the same playing field, and that's how it should have been, because we train just as hard, just as long, we do everything. We're elite athletes too, regardless if we have disabilities. We are elite athletes, and we need to be seen on the same level playing field, playing in those same arenas, so that people can go, oh, this is sport. It's not disability sport.
Exactly.
It's sport. So that's huge.
And any final words for the young guns on the team, these 20 and 21-year-olds? You were there, now you're here. What can you tell them from an aspirational standpoint, an inspirational standpoint, and even the generation that hasn't even considered wheelchair basketball as an option? Yeah.
I think, like you said, with the media coverage, that's gonna inspire a new group, especially of female athletes with disabilities, because they're going to see where they can go. And I hope that my younger teammates realize what great role models they are for the next generation, because I feel like in some way, without me even knowing it, I became that for them. And so I hope they realize that they are that for those girls that are just starting to play wheelchair basketball. And these little girls are going to see, they're not going to see me anymore. They're going to see them, and they're going to go, oh, I want to be the next Rose Hollerman. I want to be the next Gail Gang. And I want those athletes too to realize, they make fun of me for being so old, which I don't feel that old.
That's universal in sports though, isn't it? Right,
yeah. I look at the able-bodied team, and they're in their 30s too. So, I'm not that old, but they think that they're going to be done, in 4 years or whatnot. And you know what, I see it in them. I see me in them, where it's no, you're going to have something to give back, and you're going to have a little bit more, and I hope you go for it as long as you can. NWBA, we're all role models.